Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Jen Snow. It's Hypno Soul Talk, and we are here today to talk about past life regression, soul regression sessions with clients that have gone back to past lives for happiness and the impact of those. But first off, it's Friday morning, so good morning, Purple Princess. How you doing? Cheers. Here's a coffee. Let's enjoy. It's the weekend. For those of you who are, it is the end of your week. Congratulations. For those of you at the beginning or midweek, you're going to make it. You're going to get there. So those of you who don't know who I am Jen Snow. I am a soul regression coach, hypnotherapist, Reiki master, energy healer. And we are here today to talk about past lives and what that means. Well, for those of you who may not believe in past lives, I'm not here to change your opinion. I'm not here to change your ideas. But for me, past lives exist. Alternate lives, alternate timelines, different worlds, universes. I've seen it all in the work that I do. And I've been very fortunate to experience and be a coach and guide people in these journeys to help them release their blocks, let go of their old habits, behaviors, old patterns that are no longer working for them, and release their trauma. So this can all be done through past and present life healing. And we've utilize this process through hypnotherapy to get you into that space where you can access the filing cabinet in your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind and your soul take you on a journey. And where they take you, well, that is something you know. We don't know it on the conscious space for most of us. Some of us do. We do have insight to it. I know that when I'm not sure what's happening here on TikTok. They have some memory thing, so I'm not sure if it's going to work today or not, but we'll see. I'm trying to do dual lives here because I still haven't figured out the technology that allows me to stream on my computer. I was trying to work it out on YouTube the other day, but it was not my best friend. So still working that out. So if anybody has any tips and tricks on that one, please feel free to share. I would love to know what you guys are using to go live multiple places. I know that StreamYard, I do use StreamYard. However, it does not allow for TikTok. So if StreamYard, you're listening, please help me out here. That would be very, very beneficial. So, okay, get back on track besides the Friday morning. And no, I have not had a coffee yet. So this is the first one. And my battery is about to die. So we're going to have to leave TikTok here. Yeah, I don't know why things are not happening. Sorry, guys, on TikTok, but apparently my charger is not working on the computer, on the laptop, on the iPad, because that's how I'm doing this. Yeah, something's not working. Anyhow, I'll have to figure that out later. Sorry, guys. Squirrel. I've always said I'm a squirrel, so and I always squirrel like a squirrel because there's always like, oh, shiny thing. And that's how I work, and y'all know it. So, all right, back to the topic at hand. So, past life for happiness. Now, this wasn't intentional, actually. This wasn't actually our goal to originally go to, but what we were looking for was the most appropriate place, time, and space to look at, to examine, that would help this client in the very best way. Right? It's crazy. Oh yeah, my computer was doing things this morning too before the show. I almost was late because I was like, why do I have to reboot? That's what I think about technology. I used to be technical. I used to be like up to speed and on it. And then I took a different turn outside of like actually losing my sight. When I really stepped into my soul mission, soul purpose, it was like that technological side just went like, oh, sorry, we're not, those neural pathways are like, nah, you don't need us anymore. We're out. And now I look at things and I'm like, huh, back in the day, I would have totally got this. Would have had this fixed and done. But no, now, just a whole other me, just version of me came forward. And that version of myself kind of just took a back seat. And I don't know, it turned off the switch or something. So now I'm like, yeah, YouTube. But, this life that we went to, and this is actually what inspired Monday meditation. So Monday meditation, we did exploring for a past life for happiness, filled with happiness. And the reason I chose that is because of the impact this one client had, and the impact I've had a couple other clients have that positive changes that have come out of it. Now, like I said, you have the answers inside you. They're stored in that subconscious mind. That is the access to your whole soul history, For some of us, we call it the Akashic Records. We can move through time and space. We are not bound. We are limitless when we are in that trance, meditative, hypnotic place. And we are able to access information that we don't consciously have in the waking space at a snap of a finger. Now, that can change. Oh, yeah. Probably should turn all this stuff off. You know what? It's Friday. That's all I'm going to say. Friday. And so we get into that place, and like I said, we asked this client because the client knew she needed to go somewhere, but she really wasn't finding the right words. So one of the things that we do in sessions, as you guys all have probably seen if you have watched the live session with Jen and I, is that we go through, we really spend a lot of time discussing, talking about what avenue, what statement we're going to utilize that's going to take us and begin to open the door of the journey. But that doesn't mean it's the only way to do things. So sometimes when I have clients that come for past life to just experience a past life, but they don't really have anything they want to heal. They don't really have an idea of where they want to go. So we just kind of sit, we discuss, and we kind of formulate an intention, a statement. That statement is the door. And where that door leads us, well, that's the exploring part of all of this. That's the adventure of it all. And that's, the way I kind of look at all of this, whether we are healing those reoccurring patterns, habits, behaviors, belief systems, those old traumas, anything that is standing in your way, blocking you, that self-sabotage, that lack, that scarcity, the anxiety. Oh, anxiety is a big one. And even to the simplest, not even the simplest thing, but one that, something we don't often think about is sleep and things like that. So wherever your topic is, and the nice thing is about the formula that I use, that it is not defined by one thing. It is a really beautiful process that allows us to kind of navigate anywhere we need to go. And that, that includes the present life, that includes this incarnation, that includes alternate timelines and past lives and multiverses. And I mean, I've had clients go to different worlds where they were in aquatic lands, in the aquatic world. I've had other clients drop into a landscape where they were definitely in a light body space and light body physique. And their features are very, very different than what they are in this incarnation. And so it just really all depends where you need to go, because the root cause, the origins of something may not always be here on earth. And having the opportunity to tap into that place where you are not consciously in a space of blocking, but more of a space of allowance, because your conscious mind is taking that well-deserved break that it needs. And your subconscious mind, well, its job is to protect you and give you everything you want. Positive or negative, doesn't know the difference when it comes. It's very black and white. So, but when we say the statement, I don't want this, usually your subconscious mind hears, I want this. It takes out the negative. So that's a whole other show. And so we tap into that space, and in that space, we are able to travel. And when we get into that space, the answers are there. So if before we begin our sessions, just spend some time setting that intention up, really getting that connection. We may not have words all the time where we need to go, but we can feel it. We can vibe with it. We can step into that frequency, and really and truly that will take you there. And sometimes not having a very calculated, direct statement can open up the door to explore. And so this one client, we've done hypnosis. We've been working for a while, on and off throughout the years. She started actually coming to me as a Reiki client. And we did Reiki for years, and she was, we were seeing really positive improvements. And then when I went to hypnosis, when I went and got my training, it was something that she asked if I thought it would benefit her. And I personally think hypnotherapy benefits everybody, even if it is just something to do a progressive relaxation where you learn to meditate, you learn to hypnotize yourself so that you have those tools in your toolbox every day. And so you can get into that deep space of rest, that deep place of connection, that deep self-source and soul place, and just be there. If you don't do anything with it, you don't need to, because there's a lot happening for you. And, just teaching that alone, I think hypnotherapy is one of the best tools, because there are inductions that help you get into that space much quicker, that really help that conscious mind take that well-deserved break. And so you can access the subconscious mind, so you can go into those deeper spaces of your brain waves and really sit there, be there, and take that time. In an hour and a half, 2-hour session of hypnosis, it's like getting a 8-hour night's sleep. That's how much rest and recovery you can do in that space. So if you learn to and take a session just to learn how to do this, honestly, it is life-changing. When I went to school, I had no idea what I was walking into. I was blind. I was going through this massive change in evolution in life. And I couldn't see the forest through the trees, let alone see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I divinely got into this space of this course, and it began to change my life. It gave me tools and techniques to begin altering the trajectory of my life. Literally altered it. Not gonna lie. I wouldn't be doing this, and I wouldn't be here, and I may not even be sitting in this chair. So for me, this tool, this technique has really much saved my life, and then allowed me to create such positive change, and letting go and discovering where the walls in my life are those heavy perceptions, those heavy ideas, those heavy belief systems. For me was the negative self-talker. I used to be really negative. I used to, you would never know it from meeting me or talking to me, because I'm always, outwardly really positive, but I could be cruel to myself. And that cruelty I learned from, a past life, and of cruelty I learned for myself from this life being bullied and things like that. I adopted it. So I was always super hard on myself. I was never accepting. So even that, those, and I'm going to say they're small changes for me because of, the things that I was able to do with my sight and my kidney, but they're not small changes. Those are huge changes. That alone is enough to make somebody, to change your life and the directory of your life, and create an opportunity for positivity and a different flow and a different perception and outlook on life, on yourself. Like, it just, you know what, there is so much that you can do with this. I could talk about this for hours. But I want to talk about this life for happiness, and I'm totally going to go on tangents here. So these lives for happiness. Now, this client we started to do a little bit, we were picking away, and she had a lot of layers to her onion. She had a lot of things going on in her life that were like paralyzing, is the easiest way that I can put this. A lot of things in her life, a lot of events, a lot of experiences that were, both present and past, were paralyzing this person. And this person was really stuck in in a prison of her own, in a prison, not just in her mind, but also in the external world. So that prison, in her own prison, and not being able to experience the world the way that she wanted to, or even think about experience the world the way that she wanted to, was too much, and it would create a lot of anxiety, a lot of angst, and it was really hard. And so that prison would close down on her, and she wouldn't go out very much, and she just didn't she had a lot of experience that anchored in that belief system that the world wasn't safe. And so we've been working through that, and she's made strides beyond strides. And as we make these strides, the one thing I've always said to you guys is that layers reveal themselves. And somebody asked me once, well, am I ever done? That depends on you. Are you ever done? Is your healing journey, is your self-evolution journey ever done? Well, it's totally and completely and fully up to you. And why I say that is because we can get to a place and be like, good, I'm good. I'm going to rock this version of me for the rest of my days. And that is a hallelujah moment. And yeah, then maybe you're done. And there's nothing wrong with that. Never technically done. There's always there isn't always there is. You know what? That's my next statement. And then if you're like myself or other people in the world, you start to peel back these layers of your onion, and the version of you that comes out each time is a little bit brighter, better, and a little more in that space of the core, authentic, true you, as you discover your own true spiritual nature and your own true soul nature. But then, like I said, there's choice here. Free will is a beautiful thing. This earth is like the space of forgetting and the space of free will. We forget who we are as we come through, and we are born into this world, and we have this beautiful experience and adventure of free will. And we choose not to be done. So we keep peeling, and we keep, evolving. Now, the one thing around that is I always want to stress to you, take a moment to pause in that version of you that you've just rediscovered and recovered, and enjoy, celebrate that moment, get into that space of gratitude, and really anchor in that essence and presence of yourself. Because And just, if you guys want to see somebody call themselves out, just come to the show. I, for a long time, was like speeding through things. Okay, that's done. Move on. That was my mentality around this, because at the beginning, I did have a bit of a time limit. I didn't have an expectation if it would work or when it would work, but I had a timeline because my health was deteriorating at a rapid pace at that time. More rapid than I've ever actually realized. And I'm having that realization as I'm talking to you right now, that like that decline was exceptionally fast. And so there was a bit of a hot seat underneath me. And I can be like that outside of my health. I can totally be like that with a lot of things if I let myself like steamroll things. And I actually work at not steamrolling things, because I have found and discovered the beauty in things that I quite enjoy now, the process, and I've really, really come back to that. So if you are the one that is like, what, there's a version of me is there's more. Let's keep diving. Let's keep working. Remember to be in that ebb and flow. But as you're in the ebb and flow, as Purple Princess said, allow yourself to enjoy the moments, because those moments mean something. They are for you. And healing is a job, but it can't feel like a job. It's something you do because you choose to, not because you have to. And when you get into the have to place, you really begin to resent it. And resenting it is hard. Yeah, I stop for a moment and I don't want to fix things. But then, yeah, right? There are times where I like, okay, more layers need to go away. And that's perfect. And when you're supposed to take these breaks, because when those breaks happen, something magical happens. We settle into the changes that we've made. We see the version of ourselves that we experience, that version of ourselves that is free of the old layers, that stepped into this magical place of unwinding and releasing. And taking time to celebrate that is such a beautiful thing, and giving yourself a break. Healing can be exhausting. And I'm actually having this conversation with another client of mine who has a bit of a timeline when it comes to the overall health of their body. But healing, it can be exhausting. And if you are getting exhausted, you're not helping yourself. You're not making things better. So take a couple moments, if you take the time that you can, because sometimes there's a hot seat, and take a breath and let yourself just sit there for a moment, recharge. Hey, because one thing I learned on my journey, and I've sat with this for a long time and reflected upon this, is that I got to a point where I didn't want to do anything because I was just tired of being sick. I was tired of having this illness. I was tired of it. I was just done. Like, I actually went into a space of avoidance. And in that space of avoidance, I was very acutely aware that I was avoiding. Like, I was very honest about it. But I was just done. I needed to not be sick. And it was funny because I stopped doing my blood work for a while. And not long. Like, we're talking like 6 months. 6 months. Yeah, 6 months roughly. And I remember my kidney specialist and I sitting down and talking, and I was like, you know what? And I did it before I went in. And that was, I've been 6 months. And I said, I just need a break from being sick, the sick person. I just need a break. And he actually looked at me and he was like, I get that. That's okay. As long as your numbers stay where they at when we check them, we're good. I'm good with this. And we kind of came to that agreement, because I was going for blood work every month, every 3 weeks. And in the beginning, I absolutely freaking needed to. And I'm not saying don't do it, but I got to a point where I emotionally needed a break from being the sick person. And I mean, I'm very aware of my body and I'm very cute. So this is not a recommendation whatsoever, but I'm very in tune with my body and I know when things are shifting. I know when my GFR moves a point, like I can feel that. And I'm very, very acutely in tune with that. And I stay in tune with that because, it's not okay for it to move too much. And I need to be aware. But yeah, I just needed a break. But what I realized in that break is it gave me the energy, the motivation, the inspiration to now start that deep diving even more. And I just needed that little pause to really just decide that, yes, I was still committed to myself. I was still committed to this journey. And now I was ready to even look harder and deeper and look at the things that maybe I didn't want to look at. Because there were things there that I tried to avoid. And I'm a great avoider when I want to be. really good at it, actually. Not that I do it often, but when I do it well. So we had gone through we'd gone through this time of lull, and it was great. And I never worry about things like that because I always know, because of my own journey, I've had so many different experiences that I know that we're all unique and we all need time and space to process, to connect, and, get so frustrated with where we're at, if that's the case, that we now decide to make a change, because usually that's a good motivational factor. So we come in, we're going to do some hypnosis, and we've been peeling back some really deep layers for her. But she couldn't put it into words. She just didn't have the words that day. So we asked her subconscious mind to take us to the most appropriate place, time, and space to look at, to examine, to stop at. And that would, help this person and, stating their name in the very best way in their next phase of self-evolution and healing and growth. That was our general statement. Well, this client ended up going back to the early 1800s. And it was funny because, this was a quick turnaround life for this client. But in that life, it was very much the opposite of this life, in this incarnation. She had a family, she was very well off. She had this life, but it was a life of contentment. It was a life of satisfaction. It was a life of love and happiness. And so we moved through the life, and there was really nothing negative about this life except for maybe stubbing her toe a couple times, or the shoes back in the day. Those were a big complaint. They were not comfortable. But the description and the detail of this life was just acute. Like, it was quite profound. And as we worked through the life, she was re-experiencing that life of satisfaction, contentment, happiness, love, and joy. And just giggling and laughing and tears and this whole process. So when we get through the life, because in a lot of the work that we do, we go with a lot of the soul regression work that I do, we go through the entire life so we can gather what we need to gather so that we can do one of my processes called soul screening, which is what we do to kind of screen out of the cellular being the old things that are no longer in alignment, that can go back to that experience and be in that record keeping versus in active incarnation now, because they don't belong in this active incarnation. And so we go through this life, we get to the other life, and at the end of life, and one of the questions I asked is, do you have a sense of what the purpose of that life was for? And she described the purpose of that life. And then I said, do you get a sense of the purpose of your soul bringing you back to this life? And it was to remember and reactivate the cell memory of love, joy, and happiness, and having and contentment and being satisfied. And so we went through a process of reactivating that on the cell memory and bringing those values and those belief systems back into this incarnation, and downloading those light codes that would integrate into the physical, mental, emotional, and vibrational being that she is now. And when we were in the light, and we always go back to source to do all of this work in that space, in the super conscious space, in the light, the client really started crying. And I asked, what's going on? What are you noticing? And it was just pure joy. And she remembered what it felt like to be content. And in that contentment, she knew that was going to have a huge impact on her, because since very long ago, and we're talking like 25, 30 years ago for this client, she hadn't had, that space had been fleeting due to the experiences in her lifetime that had put her into survival mode. And so she brought that back, and she felt warm and safe, loved, and just so happy. And when we came out of that life, it was funny because she was quite astounded that she went back to a life in the early 1800s, because the detail, and she's like, oh my God, the shoes, those little details. But she was profoundly shifted at that point, and has been ever since, on re-experiencing and reconnecting to that part of her soul that felt and is love, that is joy, that is happiness, that is contentment and satisfaction, and being able to reintegrate that, because that piece was not supposed to be outside of herself, as we learned in some of the questions that I was asking throughout the session. It was actually got fragmented during an experience that she had in this incarnation, and it had been living outside and kind of kind of stuck between, it kind of reverted back into that past life, alternate timeline. And so we brought it forward. We brought that soul piece back, and she brought it back to self. And when she brought it back to self, when she came out, her words were, I feel whole, I feel complete. And it was quite a beautiful experience to watch and to be a part of, and to, help. The trauma side was the fact that there was a soul fragment that was meant to be connected to self that got disconnected and fragmented due to an experience, a physical experience in this present active incarnation. And we were able to repair that. And I've talked to this client since, and the way she looks at the world, the way the world looks at her is just so different now. And she is moving through some physical health things. And she's already starting to notice some improvements with the all the tools that she's using, both in the medical and the holistic side of things, and the combination coming together, which has really allowed her, through the her doctor's advisory and advisement, been able to make some really cool changes. So sometimes it's not about going back to just the negative. Sometimes it's about going back and discovering something really beautiful and positive, and seeing where and how you got misaligned, and creating the healing from there. So this was an impactful session. This one really stuck with me. I mean, they all stick with me, but this one really I wanted to talk about. So I did ask for permission, and she gave it to me, and I thought I would share it with you guys that, I had somebody, I often get people like, oh, do we always have to go back and do the negative stuff? No, you don't. We can go back and do the positive stuff just as easy, but that positive stuff there will always be healing around it for you, whether it's bringing back a fragment of your soul. All right, we're back. So power surge there. I know, right? No, you did not freeze. I disappeared. Been getting these lately, these little power surges in this place. It's quite annoying, to say the least, because it happens in the most inappropriate times. So as I was saying, sometimes when we go back to these lives of happiness and joy and rediscover these spaces of contentment, there is healing, because that fragment of you, I know I'm back. Sorry. It's just freaking power. I don't know what's going on. I know they're doing a lot of building in Predator Ridge, and so I think they've been doing some things that are not so great, and causing power surges for those of us around it, which is very inconvenient when you think about it, for me at least. And so we can bring back those moments, those soul fragments back to self. When we bring things back to self, we create wholeness. We create this reconnection into our authentic core being that we're born with. We are born with so many, the self within ourselves, and as we go through our lives, sometimes those selves get frozen and fragmented from the whole, and when we come back to the whole, it just makes such a big difference, and it can be such a beautiful thing. And so it's not always the negative stuff, and you don't always have to dive into the negative stuff. I have a lot of clients in my world that want to start with the positive things because they're not ready to dive into the other side of things and face those things. And when you are ready, you are. And when you get into it, even bringing back little pieces of your soul, bringing back the values and the belief systems that align with those positive things, really begin to create shifts within the mental, emotional, physical, and vibrational you that are going to guide you to your next letter, are going to reveal those next pieces of the puzzle. And if you choose to work on them, you choose to work on them. You choose not to, and just enjoy the version that you've downloaded from your light body into this present active incarnation. That is perfect too. So there's nobody expecting anything from you when you do this. It's about the adventure. It's about the discovery side of things, and recovering opportunities to recall who you are at your core. So that is the Friday Conversation Coffee with me, Jen Snow. And I want to thank you guys so much for coming, for being a part of this. I do really appreciate your time and energy. And I hope that you have a fantastic and wonderful weekend. Thank you for being you. And remember, don't give up on yourself. Even if you need to pause in your own journey when it comes to your healing and to your next step and revealing next layers, give yourself time to be refreshed. Take a moment. If that's going out in nature, if it's taking a day off and reading a book, or even binge watching something because you just need a moment, or getting out running, biking, doing whatever, spending time with your family, your friends, do something that fills your cup. And when your cup is full, that journey can be a little bit, it is a lot different. When we're depleted, and we're always depleted, it's hard to keep trudging forward and knowing that you're trudging forward towards a goal. And so if you need a moment, give yourself that space. If you need a change of direction for a bit, pause to see what you can reveal on something on the other side, taking a moment. I did that. I took breaks from my kidneys and my neuropathy and my eyes. I took breaks and I went on different adventures to figure out different things. And I came back. I always had notes and I always knew where I needed to go, but sometimes I just needed to do some, I always call, at the time I called it the fluff work, but it's not fluff at all. Actually, it's some of those fluff work that I did created the biggest and most profound, impactful changes for me, because I was able to regain strength that I thought I'd lost. So wherever you're at in your journey, know that you're not alone, that you have people around you, and there are ways of moving through things. And you just, take the time, give yourself the time to find your person. And when you find your person, when you're ready, begin to explore those things, because that's the other thing to this work. Soul regression work, soul regression therapy, past life therapy, hypnotherapy, you got to find your person. And when you find your person, going in and doing those individual or group journeys is going to be so much easier, because that level of trust and connection is going to be there. And when you have somebody guiding you that you have a level of trust and connection with, and you feel comfortable, because you're in control of the whole thing, guys. It's not me. It's not your hypnotherapist. It's not your coach. You are in control. It may not feel like that because, media has made it seem like that, but you are the captain of the ship. I'm just the navigation. I'm the tool of navigation, and you shows you where you're going and how to get there. But you are the captain. You're always the captain in this process. And you will always be the captain in this process, because there's no one that can be your captain for you but you. So when you have time, think about that. See how that resonates with you. And when you find your person, it will resonate with you. You'll be like, yeah, this is it. Let's go. Let's do this. And it will be an adventure. And there will be moments of ugly crying, moments of happy crying, joyful tears, and everything in between you can ever imagine. There'll be moments of shock and awe. You're like, I'm not in Earth anymore. We are not in Kansas anymore, Dodo. And you'll have those moments, and those moments are brilliant and great because they will reveal things as well. Because just because it's not a Earth incarnation doesn't mean there's not stuff there to resolve and heal. Because the galactic space is a very interesting place that I've been learning about and re-experiencing from a human perspective as we go through these journeys. So maybe we'll touch it. You know what? I think our next coffee show will be about some of the intergalactic lives that we have journeyed into through this process. So I'll make a note of that. So guys, happy Friday. Have a wonderful Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for your time and space. Thank you for being patient and being here while we had a quick internet power glitch, pause, reset. And if you guys have questions, you can book your free discovery call on blendedconnections.com. And it is a 20-minute, half an hour call where we can just, figure out if I'm your person, what's going on, what you need help with, and come up with a game plan. And then we can set that into motion if you choose. And we can go forward from there. And lots of booking. I do in-person and online sessions, and I do group sessions. So if one-on-one is a little too intense for you and you want to do a group session, I do group sessions, and there will be more group sessions coming up in September. We will be doing 4-week group sessions, and they will be very, very centralized on a specific topic. So those will also be coming up. I do have a Tuesday night hypno meditation group that is on every Tuesday night. We do that every month. And yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know, and have a wonderful weekend. And we will all be talking soon. And thank you. Have a great weekend, guys, and cheers.